Welcome to part two of my birthday gratitude post. 51, half a century plus one. Yo, that's been a life. That's been a life, and I am grateful. I am forever grateful that I've been able to go around the sun all this time, 51 times. And yes, it's amazing. It's had its ups and downs, but yeah, life is life. Life happens, things happen, and you continue to survive. So yeah, that is me in Gaza. That's me in Gaza. I was talking about how I've been able to sometimes look at death and I'm like, yo, is it time? He's like, Bado, you chill. One day. I hope it's not soon. Yeah, I apologize for the dark jokes that I make sometimes, but that's part of our lives as humanitarians. Some of the jokes that we make, we've had many times where we were sitting and we're like, yeah, so, dude, I remember in Ukraine we were having these discussions with my my colleagues. A few minutes after we had several explosions, several missiles hit Odessa. It was specifically Odessa, and I think Dnipro. I'd been in Dnipro a few days before that. We had been hit a number of times and then went back to Odessa, which was my base at some point in my second half of the year in Ukraine. And yeah, we were hit again a number of times. So people were discussing, how it was crazy, how it was scary, and then everybody was discussing how they would want to die or how they would not want to die. So mine was like, listen, guys, I love to eat. And people know I love to eat, especially when I go to the gym. I love to eat a lot. I think it comes by default by virtue of the fact that, there's a lot of energy going out. So a lot of it has to be replaced. So I was like, guys, me, I would just want, I don't want to die hungry. I don't want to die because I have no idea how it's going to be on the other side. I just want to die full. So I hope if a missile hits, it hits before lunch. So I was always also munching on something. So they're like, dude, is that what you eat all the time? I'm like, yeah, I'm always on standby so that if it hits, I'm full. And then somebody else was like, you know what? For me, the most embarrassing thing would be if it hit and I was seated on the toilet. So then his thought process was how it would be so embarrassing. How would he explain that he was dropping a dookie, as my son says, and then he died. And we're like, dude, you'd be dead. He's like, no, that doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that he would be dead with his pants down, probably sitting on the toilet. And somebody else was like, yeah, you know what? I would not want to be found in the shower naked because, again, so all kinds of weird discussions that we would have about explosions. But anyway, yeah. So talking about Ukraine, so this is Gaza. Let's talk about Gaza because this is Gaza. I'll talk about Ukraine in another post, hopefully in another day, not today. So this was Gaza, and Gaza was unique in its own way. Ukraine was different because not at least, but I mean, in Ukraine there would be a siren, an air alert to let you know something is probably coming in the next couple of minutes. Go to the bunker, go and hide, find a safe space. If you're in your apartment and there's no bunker, there's no underground place you can go to, then go to the corridor between two solid walls because that was basically a safer place for you should the building be hit. Or go to the toilet where hopefully there are no glass windows, and yeah, so glass would not cut you in the least. That would be, I know, if things got really bad and you're still safe, but at least you're not injured by glass. So that was Ukraine. Ukraine, you'd hear an alert. There would be telegram messages coming in, WhatsApp messages coming in, letting you know probably drones are coming in or a ballistic missile is coming in. It's going to pass overhead, so don't be worried. It's going to hit close by. It's probably going to hit a particular location, so go to the bunker and stay safe. Or drones are coming in. They're going to be hit by counter strikes, or they're going to hit. We had all that kind of information in Ukraine, but in Gaza there was none of that. There was no early warning system. There was no warning system whatsoever. Early warning, late warning, mid warning, whatever it is. No systems at all. So it would just hit. So the thing that let you know something was coming was a missile dropping. That was quite scary. I was telling somebody the room where I was staying in Gaza had this mesh, the mesh that you put on the window so that when your windows are open, because Gaza is quite hot during the summertime, and basically out of winter it's quite hot. So there's a mesh, so you can leave the windows open, and then the mesh is there to protect and not allow bugs to come into the house. So I the first day I was lying on the bed, I'm looking at the window, and I'm like, why is this mesh leaning outward? Like it had broken off, and it was leaning outward partly. So thinking to myself, I just arrived quite late in the afternoon. I'm like, you know what? Probably tomorrow morning I'll figure out a way to put it back. Let me tell you something. That night, 3 a.m., and I've told this to people, that's why I don't sleep anymore from 3 a.m. This was 2020, 2025, 2020, no, 2024, 2024, September, October is when I was there. Close to a month, 1.5 months, I was in Gaza. Slightly less than 1.5 months. And every morning from 3, Ukraine, it was around 4, 5 when they would really, really intensify attacks. In Gaza, it was every morning from 3 a.m. basically. Attacks intensified, so it was more missiles dropping. The drones, of course, were 24 hours a day, were just humming overhead, and of course, quadcopters were floating quite nearby. Sometimes they would come outside your window and you'd hear them for like 2, 3 hours. So you wake up and there's no more sleep. You could kind of get sleep towards early morning, but yeah, that was basically a waste of time. So yeah, 3 a.m. Was the normal time for intensification of attacks. So missiles would be dropping heavily, tanks would be shooting, firing, and you are guaranteed you'd wake up. We'd go back to sleep at some point. It reached a point where you'd wake up at 3, and then like 4, 5, 6 ish, you go back to sleep for whatever number of hours or minutes before you wake up to go to work. Or unless the attacks were very intense and you couldn't go back to sleep. So second morning, the first morning, let me say first morning, 3 a.m., a huge hit, not very far, shook the whole place. And of course, I woke up. It was the first time I was being in Gaza, the first time I was hearing that kind of intensification of attacks. And there were quite a number of attacks at night, that morning rather. Oh, so later that morning I woke up and I just happened to glance out the window and I was opening my curtain. I'm like, wait, that thing is back. So it had been leaning outward, I would say to the left, yeah, to the left, and the heat had come from the left side. So I think the blast wave pushed it back. So I thought, whatever, maybe, maybe not. The next night, the next morning, there was a hit now on the opposite side of the building, and I woke up and this thing had gone back out. Then it hit me, wait a minute, it depends on which side the blast comes from and where the blast wave is going. So this thing either goes back or falls out. I'm like, you know what, it will fix itself when it not fix it. I wouldn't even bother fixing it. Anyway, that was scary because from Ukraine, I remember in Ukraine, we would be chatting with colleagues sitting in the office and like, hey, guys, let's have a coffee over the weekend. In my first week, and especially the local Ukrainian staff working with the like, yeah, David, you know what? Let's wait and see how the day ends today. That's probably like on a Tuesday. Let's wait and see how the day ends. Then Wednesday, let's see how Wednesday ends. Let's see if we get to lunch. Then we realized that's when I realized we were actually living by the day. We were living by the moment. So when you're still alive, that's what you count, because you never knew whether you're going to be alive by 10 o'clock morning tea break, or by lunchtime, or by evening. You never knew you're going to see dinner. You never knew you're going to sleep and wake up in the morning. But now Ukraine was Gaza was now way worse, because now Gaza, it was much more intense. The whole of Gaza is a war zone. It's not like Ukraine where towards the east where we were was the war zone. Other parts were calm. The whole of Gaza is a war zone. So you drive in, you walk in, and everywhere is just chaos all the time. Every single minute there's something happening. Either it's gunshots every single minute, or it is the missiles dropping every hour. And of course it gets worse, as I said, from 3 in the morning. Drones overhead 24 hours. So there's always something buzzing every single moment. You not even if you're sleeping, it wasn't peaceful, because there's something buzzing all the time. So yeah, with Gaza now, you did not know at what moment you are not going to wake up, or at what moment you would not hear the bullet, quote unquote. So if you didn't hear the missile, if you had the missile, it wasn't meant for you. So with Gaza, it got even worse. And now with Gaza, we were living basically in that particular moment. When you are alive, that's when you are alive, and that's what you appreciated. So yeah, I appreciate being alive today. 51 years. It's now half past midnight, 17th of February, and I'm glad. And yeah, let's keep in touch. Let's keep doing these podcasts, my therapy sessions with you. You are the therapist, I am the patient, client in this particular instance. And yeah, see you later. This is your dreadlock doc. Adios. Catch up soon. Bye bye.